Ever wondered if the ASUS TUF Gaming RTX 4090 is actually worth it for someone like you? If you're the type who spends a chunk of your budget on a graphics card because you want the smoothest possible experience in the latest releases, that's the question we're going to tackle today. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's dive into what this card really brings to the table and whether it matches up with the hype. First off, the RTX 4090 sits on NVIDIA's Ada Lovelace architecture, which means it's got more than enough raw horsepower for 4K gaming. If you've ever tried to push a demanding title like Cyberpunk 2077 or Starfield past 60 frames per second at max settings, you'll appreciate how this card handles the load. The extra 24GB of GDDR6X memory isn't just a brag-worthy number, it lets you keep massive texture packs and high-resolution assets in VRM, so you don't see those occasional stutters when you switch scenes or load new areas. For streamers, that extra headroom translates into smoother captures, especially when you're pairing the GPU with a high bitrate encoder. The next practical benefit is the built-in OC mode. You don't need to be an overclocking guru to get a performance boost, just toggle the mode in ASUS's software and the card raises its boost clock automatically. In my own testing, that gave roughly a 5-6% uplift in frame rates across the board, which is noticeable when you're chasing that extra edge in competitive shooters like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It's a nice set-it-and-forget-it solution if you're not keen on fiddling with voltage curves. Cooling is another area where the TUF card shines. ASUS uses Axial tech fans that push air through the heatsink more efficiently, delivering up to 23% higher airflow compared to their older designs. The result is a GPU that stays under 80 degrees Celsius even under sustained 4K loads, which means the fans stay relatively quiet. If you run a quiet build or have a small case where heat can become an issue, you'll thank the dual ball-bearing fans for keeping the noise down while still pulling enough heat away. One practical thing that often gets overlooked is how the card handles ray tracing. The RTX 4090 includes 3rd-generation RT cores and 4th-generation Tensor cores, so real-time lighting effects look far more realistic without the massive performance hit you'd see on older hardware. In games that support DLSS 3, like Hogwarts Legacy, you can enable the feature and still enjoy buttery smooth frame rates, because the Tensor cores handle the AI-based frame generation. That combination means you can have both visual fidelity and high performance without compromising on either end. The card also offers a suite of connectivity options that make life easier for multi-monitor setups. With HDMI 2.1a and DisplayPort 1.4a, you can drive a 4K 120Hz TV and a 1440p monitor at the same time without needing any adapters. For content creators who edit video on a large display while gaming on another screen, the ability to output high-bandwidth signals simultaneously can save you from the headache of swapping cables or dealing with limited refresh rates. Another benefit that matters in the real world is power efficiency. Even though the RTX 4090 is a power-hungry beast, the improvements in the Ada Lovelace design mean it gives you more performance per watt than the previous generation. If you already have an 850W PSU, you won't need to upgrade to a 1000W unit just to accommodate the card. Your existing power supply can handle the load with a healthy safety margin, which is a relief for anyone who's already stretched their budget on other components. Now, let's talk about a couple of things that might make you think twice. The card size is a bit of a monster. It spans nearly the entire length of a standard ATX case, so you'll need to make sure your chassis has enough clearance and supports the dual slot width. Installing it in a cramped mini ITX case could be a nightmare, and you might have to compromise on airflow elsewhere. Also, while the price tag is steep, well beyond what most casual gamers spend on a GPU, the performance gains you'll see are most noticeable if you're already aiming for 4K or high refresh rate 1440p gaming. If you're content with 1080p or are not into the highest graphics settings, the value proposition starts to fade. Overall, what I like about the ASUS TUF Gaming RTX 4090 is that it delivers solid performance, a quiet cooling solution, and a user-friendly overclocking feature, all wrapped in a sturdy chassis that lives up to the TUF branding. The downsides are the size and the cost, which can be limiting factors if you don't have the right setup or if you're not chasing top-tier performance. But for anyone building a high-end rig, especially a creator's workstation or a 4K gaming machine, the card checks a lot of boxes without feeling like an oddball. If you think this card matches your needs, the link is below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.